Hello there. Mike, I haven't launched yet because I don't know my niche.
Well, that's a question that we get a lot from physicians who are looking to either start a coaching business or consulting or their own practice, actually. And it's not that they're confused. They might have some ideas of what they want to go to, but doctors are afraid of choosing the wrong niche. And what our goal is today is at the end of this module here, or at the end of this episode, you won't have a perfect niche, but you'll have a decision framework that you're going to use over and over again. Just to introduce myself, my name is Dr. Mike Wiming. I've been a physician entrepreneur for 20 plus years, and I've worked on finding my own niche, honing my own niche, and help other doctors find their own niche.
I'm Dr. Aaron Trung. I have my own private practice for the last 27 years and have really explored my entrepreneur journey into online marketing. And my passion is to help doctors create online income, 18 different type of online income that leveraging their medical expertise, right? Their medical expertise can give them so many pathways, and I want doctors to know the possibility and how they can make income outside of the clinic wall.
Yeah, and so early on, when I was like wanting to get into my own niche, everything from writing a book on a particular topic to actually coaching on a particular subject, I've been able to really hone down my niche. And really, what's important to look at is the importance of what a niche is basically your specialty. It's your expertise. And your goal is to establish yourself as an expert. When I first got started, I looked at a whole bunch of different niches. And one of the first niches that I started was I wanted a topic for a book. And my first book was I had a mentor, and he said, do something that like the back of your hand. And at that time, what did I know? Like most of you, I knew about medicine. And a particular topic that I would get again and again was people at that time were looking to save money on medications, save money on prescription drugs. So I ended up writing a book on to help other patients or help other people to save money on prescription drugs. Then I went into another niche. I went into the diabetes market. And then I went and focused on helping other doctors. I was building an online income, and they wanted to learn more about how I was doing it. So I started my niche was helping other doctors or helping other individuals at the time. And I didn't even focus on doctors to get started on their online business journey. And then I took that same idea and I took the same work that we're going to be teaching you today to develop different niches on here. And it's not knowing what lane that you want to choose. It's that a lot of times where I was working with one individual and I was helping him. I said, you need to develop a niche. He wanted to start a business. And we'd come up, I would talk to him once a month. And he says, oh, I'm still working on my niche. Month number two, I'm still haven't decided. Month number three, I think I've got it down to like 5 or 6 different niches. And what happens is he thought he needed to find the perfect niche. And he thought that he needed certainty. But really, what he needed was action. He wanted to move forward. And to this day, I don't think he's ever launched a niche. And I don't want that to happen to you. So we're going to discuss the framework of how you can find the perfect niche.
When I first started, I didn't really know what niche means. So I wanted to explain to you how I thought about it. Niche to me is like, what is it that you like, you're passionate about, that you can work with the people you like to work with, that you're an expert in. And as a doctor, you already have the credibility and the expert. But finding that particular thing, the more niche down you are, more clarity your message and your offer will be. And we'll talk about offer later. So for me, it's like I'm a pain management physician. I'm PMR. I do interventional pain, but I also do sexual health. So my niche is really helping men between the age of 35 to 60 regain sexual confidence again. That's it. Nothing else. I don't talk about anything else. And the doctors that we work with, they're also pain management doctors. They would niche down to knee pain for pickleball players, or knee pain for baby boomers, or knee pain for soccer players. That niche down. The more narrow you are in niching down, the better you're going to be able to attract your tribe, which are your viewers that will become buyers from you. So I hope that helped, because in the beginning, I didn't really know what it means. Well, what it really means is the lane that you stay in, that you love to work with those people that you are the expert in. And as physician, oftentimes it's a lot harder to do because we kind of know a lot. We have a lot of passion. And so, what my advice is stay narrow rather than trying to be broad. Because if you try to serve everyone, you serve no one. To serve one person and that one problem that that one person has.
Yeah, and we know this in medicine too. And again, coming from someone who is a generalist of a family practice on here, unfortunately, our income doesn't get paid as much as a specialist does. And why is it? Because when someone has a problem, they eventually want to go to the expert, right? They may start off with a generalist, the primary care, but the ones who get paid are the specialists on here. And the important thing to do, to think about though, is when you're coming into a business, choosing a niche is you're not locking yourself into like a career sentence on here, right? You can decide one niche, and then if it doesn't work, you can pivot to something else. One thing that I mentioned about finding a niche, it doesn't have to be perfect. I may have misspoke on here, and I think one of the myths that I often see with doctors is I need the perfect niche before I start. And the reason why is because in medical school, in academic medicine, we had to decide on our niche. We had to decide in our specialty early on in our third year of medical school on here. We needed to decide, we then needed to train, and then we needed to commit. And I'm sure some colleagues who changed their specialty later in their career, and it can be very difficult. It can cost you a lot of money and time on here. And I understand that. And that's what you may be thinking of. But in entrepreneurship, it's a lot about seeing what works and pivot. Some of the biggest companies that are out there, they didn't have the exact business model. They focused on one thing, it didn't work, and then they pivoted to something else. So oftentimes in entrepreneurship, it's like testing a niche, getting some feedback, getting some information, you're learning it, and then you're pivoting and then refining it as you go on here. And so your niche is discovered through, are you making money on it? Are you getting feedback on it? And it'll always be changing. So don't be afraid to move forward with that. Just pick one, stick with it for a few months, maybe a few years. If it doesn't work, you can pivot to something else. You're not forever locked into that niche identity.
Absolutely. Like I'm the prime example. My niche is erectile dysfunction for men, but in my office, I still do musculoskeletal pain. And I also help women with menopause symptoms. I do hormone replacement therapy as well. So I'm not narrowed into that topic because what that the niche is when the customer come through you through that door. But then once they're in the door, then you can offer different treatment for that particular person. It's kind of like you go into McDonald's and you want to get a burger, but McDonald's also have salad available, French fries available, milkshakes available as well too. So think of it like that. Just it's just an entryway, so you're not boxed in like that. So we want to emphasize is that you don't get paid more for being clever. You get paid for being clear, and I love that. And let me say that again, because being clear, meaning your messaging, what you are delivering through your video or through your ad or on your website and all your social media should be a clear message, simple, simple that people can understand within seconds. It's like a tagline that you should be able to say without explaining to people what you do. So it shouldn't be a clever thing. It should be simple. Like my tagline is that I help men have restore sexual confidence. I don't really need to explain that, right? But what you don't want to say is, well, I help baby boomers have freedom of movement. Well, that may sound nice, but it's too general. It's too general. What you may want to say, I help baby boomer enjoy playing pickleball without worrying about pain. And that will attract people more because the message is clear. Oftentimes, what I notice is that doctors use like big words like longevity and anti-aging and so forth, because that is interpreted differently by different people. Even physicians interpret that differently as well.
Right. So let's go over some of the qualities that I think the questions that you need to ask yourself for deciding on your niche. So I think the first thing is, what is a skill you already know? Now, as a physician, we're going to probably start off with medicine. I always like to ask him, it's like you would know at the back of your hand, or what is a topic that you could speak on stage for like 15 minutes without breaking a sweat on there? That's what you already do well. And starting a business, it rewards speed. You don't want to go into something that you don't already know on here. You don't want to have to reinvent yourself. It's important to focus on something that you already know. And it doesn't have to be clinical. Maybe you are really good at buying Airbnbs, or maybe you're really good at like coding, or maybe you're really good at getting into a medical school. Maybe you did well in medical school and you can transfer that skill to others. That's a great example of a niche that you should go into. The second quality or second question that you need to ask yourself is, are there already buyers in that market? Are there buyers that people are already there, that people want their problem solved now? I like to think of it as, what are the problems that are keeping them up all night? One niche that I had a client go in, and she wanted to go into breast cancer prevention, which again seems very noble, it does the greater good. But the problem was that you found out was people, when they go into prevention, it's not really top of mind on the in here. It's something that it's good to know, but she had a very difficult time saying it. Now, maybe it's if she people who had breast cancer, obviously that's something that's keeping them up, or maybe if she focused a little bit more for first degree relatives who've had breast cancer, certainly that could be something. But she had a difficult time really honing on to or making that niche work, because prevention is one of those things that it sounds good, but a lot of people aren't ready to take action on that. So think about the things that, like, what's keeping them up at night, what's keeping them up. They're googling the information on there. Those can be the foundation for a great niche. Other thing too is we also want to focus on, are they willing to buy that? So I want to see a niche where there are books on the topic, or courses, or podcasts, or events that are based upon that topic. You might be great at a niche. Let's say you're great at, I don't know, underwater basket weaving. But if you go onto Google and you find that there are no courses on it, don't mistake to think that, oh, there's nobody who's an expert in underwater basket weaving. I'm going to dominate that niche. The reason that when you're not finding that information is people aren't willing to solve that problem. So that's number two. And then number three is it a topic that can be scalable? Can you create from a one-on-one coaching, can you create it into like a group coaching? Can you develop programs? Can you develop coaching programs on it? Those are one of the kind of things that you want to see it. And again, I think it focuses again on the number two. Are there actually programs that are out there? If you find out that you're going to the niche and there's like a ceiling to it, it's not going to help. You're not going to obviously reach the point where you want to scale and grow. So those are when we consider the three big questions that you need to ask yourself. And anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, so a ceiling, when I was first starting out, I didn't know what the word scale mean. Scale mean how to grow it using leverage. Okay, what is leverage? Leverage, if you move just a little bit, you're gonna get 10x or 5x result. That's leverage. And scale is growing. So what Mike was alluding to was that if it only grow when you're in the room, like meaning as a physician now, we make money and we see patients and it's one-to-one. That's not a scalable system because you can only see so many patients in one day, how many days a week, and that's it. If you see more, you're going to get burnt out, but that is it. But imagine if you do online and you do workshop, you can do it one to one, or you can do it one to thousands at a time. That's scaling because the cost of doing it is the same, but you can have as many people in the room as possible. So you don't want to be in a business system that you can't grow, which is scaling. You want to create the ceiling. So that's why, as physician, it is easier than ever and easier as physician to make money online as in education, either one-to-one or in a group setting, doing a webinar or a workshop, or even doing telemedicine. Even telemedicine is one-to-one, but you don't need a physical space for that. And you can even do it in a group setting as well. You can even be a consultant for a brand as well. And Mike and I do all of this at one time. And so that's something that I want to clarify. And just to clarify about point two about a problem somebody is willing to pay for, it's also target a group that has money that can pay for it as well. As Tony Robbins said, people will buy more out of fear to get away from fear or problem than for a positive outcome they want. So meaning people are more concerned about prevent fear of falling down or fear of looking embarrassed rather than wanting to look confident or good. But also, I used to work with a doctor that want to teach prisoners that get out of prison to start a business. But what's the problem with that? You know, that population, they don't have any cash on hand to pay for a program. So it was a good thing that he's doing that. But he said, well, I'm not making money. It's because the group that he's targeting does not have the money. So I want to kind of stress on those 2 points as well.
Great. So I want to give you guys some examples of people that I've worked with and some that I haven't worked with, but just give you some examples of what's out there. I've worked with the doctors who started business and focused on just started on weight loss, but then she focused on weight loss for professionals. Another doctor, a couple of doctors that I work with, I developed a whole big company. And what he was doing was helping other doctors start their telemedicine careers. That business, he was doing this for free. I encouraged him to start charging for that because that was an area where not a lot of people knew too much about, at least at that time. That development now is I believe it's an 8-figure business on here, simply because it was something that people were curious, but they didn't know exactly how to go into. I've worked with doctors who helped other doctors code and developed courses based upon that. I've worked my own niche is I work with businesses, practices to help them, physicians to help them develop cash-based practice on here, and works with doctors who want to grow and scale the regenerative medicine practice on there. And if you're thinking, oh, those all sound good, but it's saturated, there's no such thing out there, because this is a big world out there. And some of the examples, maybe they have 0.5 or 1% of the market share that is available to them. It's just what do you out there? Even something, we worked with one doctor, he said, I didn't know what my niche was. And I said, what did you do well and what have you accomplished? And oftentimes as doctors, we kind of downplay our successes, but I said, you got into medical school, you got into the college of your choice out there. And I said, there are businesses where parents pay figures or more to help their kids get into the college of their choice on there, to get into their med school of their choice, to get in the grad school of their choice. Then that can be developed into a businesses on there. Most successful niches, they didn't start out practical. It's about trial and error. It's about seeing what works, what sticks. They didn't start polished, but then they find out that there are people, they stumbled onto people that have these problems. And then if you can provide a solution to that problem, like I said, you've got a foundation for a business. And anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that you summarize it well at this point. And just the main thing is take action. And you can always polish it later, because once you take action, you'll know whether it worked or not. And you can decide to pivot and you can decide to polish it as well. Like when Mike and I launched our workshop, we launched it, we brainstorm, and then we see what the results are, and then we will decide to pivot whether we'll do it again or we polish it again or we continue the same format. So you don't know until you actually do it to see the result. So that kind of lead us into the next section is the revenue before the identity rule is you have to, whatever that you do, just make sure that the people will pay and that you enjoy doing this. And this is the number one thing that I see doctors struggle with is what would your peer think? How will people judge me? How are my peers going to judge me? Don't care about that. You shouldn't pay attention to that because your peers haven't done it yet. So how can they judge you? And if anything, you should look towards your mentor, your coach, who can guide you and will give you feedback. So oftentimes doctors take what other doctors say seriously and then they will change or they will stop doing something, but those doctors haven't done it yet. So why would you want to listen to them? So it's like you as a physician taking medical advice from someone that hasn't gone to medical school yet. So just think about that as well. So you don't need peer approval. What you need is your gut feeling saying, this is right. This is what I want to do. And this is my passion. And that We want to reiterate again that you're not married to your niche and that you can always change or polish it.
Just to fulfill that, again, to kind of be blunt, is you want to make sure that they are putting their money where their mouth is. People might say, hey, I'd be interested in your course, but then when they actually come and pay for it, you might get crickets on it. So you want to make sure for you to support yourself and to support this niche on here, you got to pay the bills on here, and it requires money on here. And again, that might be difficult for some doctors to get into, and sometimes we feel kind of uneasy about talking about money, but this is a business, and for you to share your story with the world, it's going to cost money. So you need to understand is, will people pay for this? And it's not about, oh, I promoted it on Facebook and I got likes or I got thumbs up on here. Well, last time I checked, I can't put likes in the bank. I can't put comments in the bank on here. I need to get paid in here. And then adds to another thing too, with like when you're deciding on your niche on here, Anne mentioned you enjoy delivering this. Well, if your audience is somebody that maybe you particularly don't want to work with, then why do it on here? For example, maybe you've got a great course that can help, I don't know, borderline people with borderline individuals. And maybe that's an area where you'd be uncomfortable with. And I'm not saying that you can't work with that group. I know a number of mental specialists work with them, but maybe if that doesn't want to work with that people, it's okay. You can decide to work in a different niche. In my clinic, I work with a lot of weight loss patients. I love doing it because I suffered from weight issues myself. And these are people who pay me to get a great result. And once I help them lose weight, I'm very blessed and honored to work with them. And they're very, very happy that they see me, which was unlike when I oftentimes or sometimes in the insurance-based model, when they had to see me. And that's why I chose that niche. So another important point is making sure that the audience that you're working with, that you actually want to work with that audience for you to grow and sustain that business.
So the common trap that physicians fall into is trap number one, the passion trap. So if you love a topic, that does not equate to there's a market demand. And we talked about that as to make sure that there are problems that people care about and people are willing to pay for it as well. Okay. And then number two is the credential trap. And I hear this all the time when we work with doctors. I got to get a certification from this organization so that way I feel confident I can do it. The best certification you had was graduating from med school and your residency. And that's it. You don't need a certification to say that you're a hormone expert. You don't need a certification to say you are a functional medicine expert. Now, if you want more education for your own benefit, that's fine, but you don't need that certification to say that you are the expert to the people that you're helping the problem with, because they don't care whether you are certified by this association or not. All they care about is how can you help me with my problem? How can you help me? And that they like, know, like, and trust you. That is the main thing. So don't let certification hold you back from execution. And if you're taking the certification, you're making the certification organization money, because I stopped doing that years ago when I realized that. And so trap number three is that you become niching down so hard, you eliminate scale, meaning if you go so narrow or that you box yourself in, then you won't be able to grow. And so that's when you may want to have a mentor or a coach to bounce ideas off, who is aware of the market trend and what's working, what's not working. Because I can tell you this, a course alone right now is not working. But of course, with implementation help and accountability will work. So, like a niche should really focus on your marketing and not limiting your future at the time. So that's something to think about at this point.
Awesome. So to finish up, I want to give you a 7-day niche clarity prescription for you to move forward and take action on here. So our goal is to have immediate execution of your niche. So the next day, today and the next day, I want you to list 3 problems that you already solve well. What are the 3 problems that you're already doing? Okay. Day 3 and day 4, I want you to identify who is already paying for those problems. So do some research, go look on Google, use ChatGPT to identify, are there courses, are there programs in those particular niches? Day number 5, I want you to choose one starter offer. Now, we're actually going to be talking about on the next episode, we're going to talk about how to do your offer. And so you may want to wait until that comes out before doing it, but that's what you can do day number 5. And then days 6 through 7, you're going to put it in front of real people. And again, we're going to be covering more of that on the module. So that's 7 days because I want you to take action, because remember, clarity comes from contact with the market. It's not just researching it, creating another worksheet on here. So, and I think we did a good job, a great job on this module. Why don't we go ahead and wrap this up?
Okay, so one takeaway is that your first niche is a test, not a tattoo. And so if you like help in narrowing down your niche and bouncing some ideas of some problems, or is this working, what is going to sell, what's not going to sell, then we invite you to Dr. Boss and our school group, Doctors Online Success. Check out the link down below, or just go to doctors with an S onlinesuccess.com to join our group. It's a free community where we want to show you really how to leverage your medical expertise online, because you have a gold mine here between your ears. You just need to know how to harness it and then let people know about it. So join us in Doctors Online Success School Group, and we will see you in there.
All right. So on to the next episode. And if you're watching this live, remember, you're not just a doctor.
You are Dr. Boss.
You are a Dr. Boss. We'll see you soon.